Hi, it's Chris again with FOREX Therapy, where the Forex market intersects with philanthropy. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, and this is episode 12. And I wanted to uh, celebrate with you all that the uh, long-term trend that we've been following for about 20 plus days, 3 weeks, if you will, um, finally concluded at least an initial profit target that we have been keeping our eyes on, and now we have the interesting opportunity to figure out, uh, will this trend continue to uh, decline or be bearish, or is it going to maybe pull back, be bullish for a few weeks? Um, no one knows, but there are signals ahead, and so stay tuned, and we will figure out this market as only we can, because no one knows but the market knows. So here on screen is probably the last time I'll show this, and I'll begin to move forward into new trends. But for reference, I wanted to remind us yet again about how this trend started in early April. Very nice, just tapered, um, tapering triangle or wedge, whatever term you want to use. After tapping this trend line at least 3 times, if you zoomed in closely, you would find the 3 at least. It broke out as expected eventually. This was about 2 weeks in on the 15th, broke out, and then we formed yet a new trend line. From the same anchor point, number 1, we had a clear number 2, there was a 3 in here somewhere, and then it broke out again. So there's this been cascading downward breakouts, and never too far. You know, in a more micro or smaller time frame, uh, you could have seen this move go all the way to what we call the measured target, which is the depth of this channel here would have been the distance that you would travel in this breakout. But instead, it stops short, meanders, breaks out, stops short, meanders. So all the way through, you're really wondering, well, what is the real breakout? Yes, these are breakouts, and this is what we're trading. You're placing our sell order right below the trend line and placing a take profit. In this case, it was down here at the bottom of all this consolidation. And we do this repeatedly, but it's like Braille in a way, although you can't touch it. uh, you're trying to just sort of divine what's the real breakout that's going to move real dramatically. And you don't really know, so you just trade these smaller breakouts and take profit and be thankful for that. This breakout here was a very next day on the 16th. And then as I reported yesterday, or I lamented yesterday, this long ranging, meandering, what is it going to do? Is it going to like bottom out here and then return, which could have happened. It didn't. What we had here was yet another 0.1, 2 and 3, and yet another breakout. And this was yesterday's great story. And when I left you yesterday, we were kind of down here in this range and not yet sure if or when it was going to get down to our final profit target, which I've since moved the line, but it was right about here at like 775, let's say, right about here. And it clearly hit that last night. I saw that happen around 10 or 11 o'clock my time last night, and I was very happy to go to bed with the, I would say, the completed transaction for now. Getting down to this level over 3 weeks was really where I wanted to end up, and we'd hit it. I think the total pips from here, if one had entered here and just kept riding it down and waited, I think is like over 145 pips. That translates to about 14, 15, almost $1,500 in a standard lot. So I think that's pretty nice. That's about, I guess, $500 a week. I'd like to earn more than that. Wouldn't mind 1,500 a week, actually. But you have to be patient with the size of accounts you're trading. So you can't get too greedy and try to do too much. But 145 pips is a significant run. So now let's zoom in to what happened last night. Let's see if 30-minute is a good time frame. Yeah, that's probably good. Okay. So I believe when I recorded yesterday, we had come down to this level, and for the afternoon, which is typical for the afternoon, it just kind of meandered along, not much activity. Around dinner time for me, it looked like this little mini channel here was actually going to break out, and I thought, wow, I would expect kind of a bigger move overnight while I sleep. That's when Europe is all gung-ho in their trading hours, and then early morning our time is New York. So, but no, it pushed out quite a bit, and so I'm having dinner in with one hand and looking at the market with the other, which makes me a very interesting dinner guest. But these days, that's not really a problem when you're sequestered. But yeah, it's an interesting racket socially. But sure, it broke out. There's a tiny little channel in here. It's down in the 1 minute level, but I saw this little tiny thing. I didn't trade it because the direction of the trend I knew was downward, and sometimes I get burned if I do a quick little do a little buy within a major sell, meaning I would have bought here and traded it up to here, got out. That's just a little bit more risky, and I wasn't in the mood, so I just watched this happen. And it gave me an opportunity to know where to place my entry, which was right about here where the crosshair is. And it just dropped, which was nice. And then it pulled back, no surprise there. Didn't retest the breakout, and that sometimes happens. Sometimes it just pulls back a bit, or if at all. But by the time I was ready to close the laptop, which might have been later than I felt like staying awake, I watched this come all the way down, and pretty much, I believe the profit for me was I may have changed it to 780. No, that's too high. 765 is where I've got the crosshairs. That might have been where I had it. I've now since moved that line, but it hit that solidly. And if you look to the right, just in the last, half hour or so, bam, it hit that line to the T, right? Perfect. What is this called? Perfect double bottom. Well, now what does a double bottom mean in a downtrending environment? Means that there's going to be an uptrend for a little bit of time. And how you measure that is, if you see the V here, it moves up, touches here, moves down. It's an upside down V, and it's a perfect double, maybe even a triple bottom. It looked like it hit right here about 3 times. Both are trend reversal signals. So what this could mean is if this continues to go up to this point here, the peak, and breaks through it, it will then, as the rule of thumbs go, breaks this level here, 840. It will then continue onward to a point equivalent to the depth of this. So if you measure from here, let's just do it. Measure from the top to the bottom. And why don't we make it an arrow just to be illustrative? Boom. I don't think I've I've illustrated this before like this. So this is what they call the measured target. I have measured the depth of this double bottom. I've extended that depth forward to about, for sure, I like to cheat it a bit, so in case it falls short. So a nice even 90, 900, whatever, nice round number. That would be a profit target potentially. But now wait, we were talking about this being, let me go back out again. What about this movement down to here? Because we said yesterday we have all this support, heavy duty, a lot of energy banging on that line. That's artificial. And we're already downtrending, right? Because this has been tapering up, it stalled, and then it broke out. And so wouldn't it continue onward, downward? Well, if you've learned anything so far, these things just mean, I mean, look, this was 2 weeks. So just because it hit this line and we want it just to keep going on downward doesn't mean that it won't, but it's not going to do it as fast as you want it. And what I'm beginning to see, and you may already see what I've drawn, is in the short term, the more short term, I guess, we have, and you'll have to excuse all the previous sketchings. I'll have to clean this chart up for the next time. But I can draw a trend line from point to point to point. Let me just make it more perfect. So you can see how the price has been conforming on the upper end to this artificially drawn trend line, if that's what that is. And then down here, it's almost a perfect parallelogram, not quite. Here, it hit the bottom, but it hit it so perfectly at the same point here that this is what I call a textbook double bottom. And oh, look, here we can see there are 3 points of confirmation on the trend line. See, you have to keep switching from, here's the time limits right here, from 1 minute, 2 hours, you can go to all these different time frames. And, you know, as I always say, look for the forest and the trees. At the moment now, I'm looking at a forest that shows significant opportunity to trade in the reverse direction of the major trend. So what does that mean? We've got 1 point here, clearly a second point here, and clearly a third point here. So what's next is a breakout, but to the upside. And that's, so rule 1 is you've got to have your 3 points before you have the fourth, which is the breakout. And you also need to, or should want to see, a trend reversal signal such as this, a double bottom. So there is a wealth of profit opportunity here. I mean, before I even zoom in further, let's just say if it broke out the length of this pattern here I just described, all the way up to like 190, what's happening in the past at 109? Well, we had it touch it before, here and here. I'm pointing to the wicks of the candles here. I know we're getting a lot of distracting diagrams. It did touch that, but it's not the full depth of this channel. So let's go back to that. And let's just redraw this. And let's pull it from the bottom to the top. And then arbitrarily, we won't know where the breakout would happen. So I'm just going to stick it like right over here, because these moves happen kind of in a diagonal fashion. So let's just say for conversation, it's right about here, that's where the breakout may happen. Okay, then that pushes us up much further, up to here. I don't see a lot of resistance. I mean, clearly right here at this level, which is 930, so that's more than the 90. That's a possibility. But if it's going to go at least this far to, what is this now? 964. We could take profit at 964, and now here's a previous level of resistance right here. But that's earlier, prior to this level of resistance here, which is even further. So even though the measured target is shy of this, there may be an inclination for the market, which is you, me, and everyone, to just want to go to this 985, for lack of a better measurement. because as long as it's heading in that direction, it's going to want to top out at something that's a previous significant level of resistance, meaning it's hitting the ceiling. Down here, it's not really hitting any sort of ceiling. Up here it is. Now, for whatever reason, actually there's good reasons, but I often shy away from being too greedy on a buy. If you think about gravity, which has nothing to do with a price chart, but it's ironic that I sometimes feel that when you buy something and you write it up, it may or will tap your target, but then it pulls away as if the weight of gravity is pulling it back down. Ironically, when you're selling downward, I find that much like gravity, the price just bang pounds on that line really hard. It'll tap it sometimes, but it's strange. I've observed how sometimes a buy just kind of peters out and doesn't quite go all the way to the top. So knowing that or believing that, I would actually be more cautious in a profit target. And what I'm seeing here is previous resistance here and here. So it's not quite the full top, but even if we go to, what is this, 961 versus 987. Okay, well that's 20 pips difference. I can live with that shortfall. I can live with the fact that it went from, let's just do a quick little calculation here. Let's just say we took profit at 960 to be even. And our entry was there down here at 865. Let's just do that. 865. That's 95 pips. That's $950 with a standard lot. Let's just say we're trading half that to be conservative. So instead of $10 a pip, it's $5 a pip. So conservatively, if you're just trading a mini lot, not a full standard lot, this move right here is $475. It won't happen in one day. It would be weird if it did. It would be like something massive happened on the planet to make the price move so dramatically. But I would say, let's just say safely over a week. If you're trading larger lots, then you're earning more than 475. You're earning more than, what was it, 950 if you're trading a standard lot. That's close to $1,000. So I don't care how you slice it. You can and you will earn money each and every day. And that's why I do this, is to show you how I'm doing it. And I really want all of you to do the same, because there's just no reason not to. In this day and age, when a little extra money wouldn't hurt while we're trying to get through this new situation we're living with, I think it works. All right, so I'm going to be aware of movement. I'm not going to enter. See, now, sometimes if you're aggressive, you can place your entry like really low, thinking, okay, well, it's going to cross this line and shoot right on up the top, and it very well might. And then you gain all these extra pips within the channel. Risky, 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 but it can be profitable. Or you safely come up here to like 880, thereabouts, and wait for it to break out and then take that. So it's all about your appetite for risk, and when in doubt, be very conservative. Nothing more frustrating than to be close to hitting like maybe a $300 day and then lose as much in literally seconds, minutes. That's just the worst feeling. Particularly when you know that you were pushing, you were getting a little greedy, you're getting like, oh, I want to get just another $50. Oh, I want to get a little bit more. And trust me, I'm telling you, I'm not telling you anything that I don't experience myself. And those motions of, oh, just a little bit more, a little bit more. But trading strategy, if you stick to it, we have our 1, 2, 3 breakout, we have our double bottom to confirm it's a trend reversal, and we have our measured target. All three of those things, if you just stick to that and pull your ego and greed out of it, then you'll hit the profit target. And so what if it goes beyond it and you could have made $10 more or $100 more? that's not the point. The point is, if you follow this to the letter, as I teach each and every day, the same thing, you will be successful and you will be quite happy. It is now approaching noon in my time zone, and I was out of the market well before, this morning. I mean, I made my profit today, and now the rest of it's super gravy. Let me show you what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to wrap up here. So after last night, so here's last night. Hit the profit target. It came down, hit it. Good night, going to bed. I wake up today, and so it's about, I slept in a little bit today, so it was actually closer to 7, so that's 1,400 hours. Maybe it was 7:30 at the latest, 14:30. Yeah, that was about right. So where the vertical crosshair or the dotted line is, you can see that this much had emerged by the time, let me just show you. Pretend we're in real time. And this is all you see. This uptrending move without these lines, of course, which I drew. And the thought of, okay, this could be yet a new channel emerging. It also hit a previous trend line. It actually hit the, it retested the previous trend line up here. So this could be bouncing back down. So I'm following along. And by now, I'm seeing where the trend has stopped. So I'm pretty confident that fairly soon now, I'm going to place another sell. I'd already made my profit for the day, but I'm like, well, I could sell it below this and take it right back down again. Why not? I forget how many pips that was. It wasn't a lot, but it was some. And boom, whoa, here we go. Fast. And I think that was it. Yeah. Was it? No, we're in real time. Okay. So yeah. So from morning, wake up right out here till about here. That's 3 hours. So in 3 hours this morning, I watched this happen. I watched it break out, and I probably entered around 8810, and I took profit probably here at 765. You do the math. That was more profit for the day. And now it's pulling back, and it's going to go where it's going to go. All right, so I hope that is helpful. Sometimes it feels confusing even as I explain it, but if you remember the golden rule, we're trading trend reversals. A reversal of a trend, here's the trend, it's reversing, signal here. It breaks out of this line, which is forming very tightly on the lowest prices along here diagonally, breaks out, and then goes a distance equivalent to the width of this channel, which is the measured target down to here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I could call this a 4-point plan if I wanted to write a book, which I'm not going to do. You follow those 4 steps, and you can go play golf or go to lunch or whatever, and do this each and every day. You don't even have to trade in the afternoon or evening. I would say it's a softer market. Obviously, I did last night, and that was probably not quite the norm, but when I saw that opportunity, I took it. But I think that if you can just keep your focus on whatever time zone you're in, whatever morning is for you, especially when it's it's conforming to the opening of New York. I think New York is kind of pivotal, and that is in the East. That's 9:30. See, they have to get to work and get their desk cleaned and everything, so they don't start at 8 o'clock. Market doesn't. The bell isn't opening. Bell isn't 8. It's about 9:30, I think. So that's 6:30 in the West Coast. So that's fair enough. You wake up about 6 or so, and you get a sense of the market, and then once Wall Street is in motion, then that's when you start to see a lot of activity. It's also when London is closing. It's toward the end of their day, so that overlap of morning in New York is afternoon in London, And that window of time is probably when the most volume of, particularly the euro currency, euro, pound, those European currencies against the dollar are moving more robustly, and that's kind of what this is about. All right, I have exhausted myself, and tomorrow we will see where this goes, and if in fact we're going to have, where I'm thinking is this temporary pullback, which is a nice chunk of profit, or will this just keep pounding, 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 and then tell me, nope, we're still going south? So there is no way to know. I think at the moment I would put a buy order in. It's a little too early, but I would likely be looking at a buy at 88, particularly when I see this move back up by the end of the day. I'll be ready to do that. If this doesn't move and it stays hovering around 76, I would enter a little bit lower, but my gut's telling me we're going to have this pullback first. All right, that is all for now. Stay healthy, happy trading. If you need any help in setting up your demo account or live trading account or brokers or any charting software, anything like that, please ping me, leave me messages. I'm happy to talk to you one-on-one. And I believe I'm up to 3, after what, 3 weeks? 3 viewers who are now actively trading or pursuing it. So 1 a week, I'm excited. Thank you. It's going to be fun. And the more that do it and are successful, then that will exponentiate, and we'll save the world 1 pip at a time. How about that? All right, you all have a great day, and I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow. Take care.